Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another splurge or save. So these are videos where I review some new high-end products and talk about whether I think they're worth the splurge or whether you can save your money with something else, either an alternative that you might already have in your collection or something more affordable at the drugstore. So let's go ahead and just jump right in, and let's start with the Tarte Juicy palette. So it took me a minute to buy this one because when I looked at it online, even though it looks beautiful and these are the types of colors I always gravitate toward, I just thought I have so many things like this in my collection already, but I just kept hearing so many good reviews on it, and even you guys were telling me like, definitely you need to buy it, it's so good. So I ended up getting it, and I admit it is a really great palette. I love the variety of colors in here. I love the formula. I think it performs beautifully, and I like that it has some brown neutrals, but then it also has more rosy neutrals too. So it's versatile in that way. It's not just another brown palette. And I also like how each row is laid out from lightest to darkest, because I just find that that makes it really easy when I'm doing my eyeshadow, that I can just kind of pick a row and go across, or, you know, I know that the darker colors are this side of the palette and the lighter colors are over here. I don't know why, it just makes it a little bit more user-friendly. But on the downside, this is definitely not a new color story. So I wanted to get into some comparison swatches that I did with other palettes in my collection, because I think you'll see that this is really not all that unique. And if you haven't bought this palette yet, but it's in your cart, it's on your wish list, you're thinking about buying it, then after you see this, you may just decide to skip this one and save your money. So let's go ahead and jump in. And the first comparison I have is with the ColourPop Bare Necessities palette. So this one definitely has all of those browns. It has a couple of rosy tones in it, but not as many as the Tarte. So I knew that that was going to be a little bit of a difference going into it. But when you see the swatches side by side, I mean, wow, a lot of these really line up. And if you have the Bare Necessities palette already, you have all of these same browns. I think you probably would have them in a lot of other palettes. But, you know, again, you're not getting all of those rosy tones with the Bare Necessities. So that is definitely a point of difference with that one. Then the next comparison I have is with the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette. So when you see these two side by side, there are definite similarities, and it's funny because I'm not a huge fan of the Naked Cherry palette because I don't always wear pinks on my eyes, and I think that's where these two differ just a little bit, is I think all of those rosy tones are the same between these two, but Naked Cherry doesn't have all of the browns. So, you know, I think it's a little different than the Bare Necessities in that way, where that one had more of the brown shades. This one definitely has more of those rosy tones in it. But I mean, look at how similar these are. They are so almost spot on. If you wanted the Tarte palette for those rosy shades, then you're definitely getting them in Naked Cherry if you already have it. And I'm sure you have the browns in a lot of other palettes as well. So this one is definitely similar. The next one I have is the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. So this one too has a lot of those really rosy tones, not as many of the browns again. And you can see that looking at them side by side. The Huda palette also has some glitters, which the Tarte one does not. But I swatched as many shades as I could that were similar, and I do think they have a very similar vibe. It's definitely not a spot-on dupe, but if you already have the Huda New Nudes palette, then I don't know, you might decide you don't really need the Tarte. Next, we have the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. This is the one that came out in 2020, I think, around Valentine's Day. And this one too has the rosy tones mixed with the neutrals, so I thought it might be a good one to check out. And really, this one might be the closest out of all of the palettes that I showed so far. It's really just about spot on with almost every single color. So I don't know how many of you guys actually have that one. It is more expensive than the Tarte, so I suppose if you don't have the Charlotte Tilbury but you always thought it looked really pretty, then the Tarte one would be a good dupe at a more affordable price. I also thought about the Sigma Cor de Rosa palette. This is another one that has some rosier tones mixed with neutrals. The Cor de Rosa does have a pop of brighter pink, and it has an orangey shade, which the Tarte one doesn't. But looking at them side by side, again, the shades that do line up are incredibly similar. There's a lot of just about spot on dupes between these two. And I know a lot of you guys had told me that you purchased the Cor de Rosa palette already. So if you have that one, then again, you may not need the Tarte. And then last but not least, I also combed through my Tarte collection to see if they've actually duped themselves. And I found one of their round palettes. It's called Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust. It's a pretty old palette, so I don't know how many of you guys still actually own it, but this one has, again, the rosier tones, the neutrals, and I just thought that they looked really similar to each other. Granted, the Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust is a bit smaller, so it's not going to have quite as many shades, not as much versatility. But when you look at them side by side, I can't help but think that Tarte sort of duped themselves with this one, or just kind of made a bigger version of that older palette. And in my experience, they tend to do that pretty often, so I wasn't too surprised by that one. So anyway, I know a lot of those palettes were not less affordable than the Tarte, but again, my whole purpose for showing that isn't to find actual drugstore dupes, but just to see if you might already have something similar in your collection, and then that way you could save your money if you hadn't purchased this one yet. Otherwise, I do think it's a beautiful palette if you don't have any of those, or even if you do, but you just like the versatility of this one. This one has quite a few more shades, I think, than just about any of the ones that I showed. So there is a lot of shadow in here and a lot of different options. So if you like that and you like bigger palettes like this, then I think you'll really enjoy this one. Like I said, I think the formula is so good. Next up, I have a new brow product to talk about, and this is the Huda Beauty Balm Brows, and they did send these to me in PR. I bought the Tartelette palette myself, just to let you know, but they did send this in PR, and I was, when I got it, I was like, okay, it's a skinny brow pencil. I have a million of those. I have the Anastasia Brow Wiz. I have the new Jason Wu one, which I've really been enjoying a lot. I've tried the NYX one. There's so many good ones out there that I was like, I have drugstore options. Why would I pay all of that extra money for this? When I get things in PR, I always try to think about whether or not I would spend my own hard-earned money on it or not. And if the answer is no, then there's a good chance that a lot of you guys wouldn't either, and that I should probably let you know that. But when it comes to this, I was actually blown away by this brow pencil, okay? Because when you look at it up close, and I'll show you guys a close-up, it's really hard to tell on camera, so I will show it next to my Jason Wu pencil so you can see just how teeny tiny this brow pencil really is. It is amazing. It's 0.9 millimeters, and normally skinny brow pencils, like most of the ones that are out on the market, are 1.5 millimeters, so this one is considerably smaller than those, and it just makes the most perfect hair-like strokes. It looks so natural when you actually apply it to your brows. And I've just been having so much fun playing with this because it really does look like real hair when you fill in your brows with this. I mean, back when skinny brow pencils originally hit the market and became more of a thing, I loved them because they really made it a little bit easier than those bigger ones that they used to have back in the day, like the regular pencil ones. They just made it easier to get a really natural look. But this one is so good. So I would say this one is definitely worth the money if you struggle to get a really natural look, even with the smaller pencils. If you want those really hair-like strokes, I would check this one out. So I'll show you guys swatches of the 3 colors that I have. They sent me light brown, medium brown, and rich brown. So those are going from left to right. We have light brown, medium brown in the middle, and then rich brown on the right. And I'm wearing the medium brown today. Next time I might try the rich brown. That one I think is a little bit cooler tone than the medium, but the medium one wasn't too bad. I usually try to stay away from anything that's too warm. I felt like it was pretty neutral for the most part, but I think the rich one is maybe just slightly more ashy, and that's usually what I look for in a brow pencil. The Jason Wu pencil that I got from Target is like the perfect color, and I don't think that the Huda ones quite match up to that. So that's really the only downside to this pencil. I also love the packaging. It has kind of 5 sides to it instead of just a round pencil. So it's also very easy to hold. It's really ergonomic, and I just love using it. So I think this is awesome. Definitely worth the splurge. Next up, I also got a new foundation from Huda Beauty. This one was also sent to me in PR, and this is their Faux Filter Luminous Matte Full Coverage Liquid Foundation, and I have mine in the shade Shortbread, and I'll show you guys quickly just a swatch of what that looks like and a close-up of the packaging. And I think they did a great job on the packaging. It looks beautiful. The original version of this I was not a fan of because it was super drying. I mean, it made my face look terrible. So when they were coming out with this and they said it was a little bit more luminous and not quite as dry, I was really excited. I don't wear full coverage foundations all that often, but I like to have a few in my drawer just for occasions when I want to look really flawless. So I was really excited, and when I first put this on my face, I thought it felt really nice. It has kind of almost like a moussey texture, so it feels sort of like pigment mixed in with primer, like that type of feel, where it just kind of glided across my face and it seemed to smooth everything out. But that was very, very temporary because after about 10 minutes or so and the foundation sunk in, I'll show you guys some close-up pictures of what it looked like, and it wasn't pretty. So on my chin, you'll notice just, it looks so dry and so cakey, and on my cheek, the same thing. It just really looks not good. I don't feel like it's any better than the original was for me. Now, that being said, if you're somebody who does not have dry skin, then you might really like this. I love how smooth it feels on your skin. It's really, really lightweight. It comes in tons of different colors. It has a really nice shade range, and the coverage is great. I'm actually wearing it in the video today, and I think it hides everything. I love the coverage, but on camera, you can't see all of that stuff that you can see when I took those photos in natural lighting, because all the lights and everything just kind of diffuse everything and make it look perfect. But yeah, this is definitely not for me, unfortunately. But again, if you don't have dry skin, it might be worth checking out. But if you do have dry skin and you're looking for something that looks a little bit more natural and doesn't cling to all the dry patches, I've really been loving the Doll 10 Doll Skin Anti-Stress Skin Perfector. This is kind of like an IT Cosmetics CC cream, but it doesn't have that glowy, radiant finish to it. It has more of a finish like this, but for some reason, it doesn't look nearly as dry on me. I think it goes on much smoother. It has a little bit more of the CC cream type of texture versus this one, which is more like a mousse. So I really like this one. It has a lot of like skincare ingredients in it. It's just a lot more hydrating. Unfortunately, the shade range of this is not quite as good. I wear it in the shade light. It's a little bit more on the yellow side for me. It's not a perfect match, but once I smooth everything out and blend it down my neck, it looks great. So when I need full coverage, I usually reach for this, and I really enjoy it. Next up, I also wanted to try this new Tarte Sea Breezy Cream Blush. I have the bronzer that came out, I think it was last year, and it's like one of my favorite cream bronzers. It is so perfect. It looks a little bit warm in the jar, but on your skin, it's like the most perfect shade of almost like rosy brown, which is the color that I naturally turn in the sun. So I really enjoyed this. I also loved how it dried to a powdery finish right away. It's not sticky at all. So I was hoping that the blush would be the exact same formula, and it is. It's beautiful. I got mine in the shade Peach Sunset, so I'll show you that up close so you can see what it looks like. And it's just a gorgeous color. First of all, the pan size is huge, so you can really get a brush in there easily if you want to apply it with a brush or a sponge. I personally just like to use my fingers, but I just love it. And just like the bronzer, it dries down immediately to a powdery finish. It looks really flawless on your skin. It doesn't lift up your foundation underneath. It doesn't feel sticky. So it basically checks all my boxes when it comes to a cream blush. However, there are definitely some drugstore alternatives to this, and once I tried it, I thought it reminds me so much of the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Blush, the e.l.f. Putty Blush. It has a very, very similar texture. Even the ColourPop Super Shock blushes, this one's a little bit more moussey. I think texture-wise, it's the same as the Milani and the e.l.f., but with the ColourPop, you know, they dry down to a powdery finish as well, and I think this particular color looks really close. So let me show you some swatches just so you can see them all side by side. On the left-hand side, we have the Tarte one in the shade Peach Sunset, and then next to that, we have Milani's Cheek Kiss blush in Nude Kiss. Then we have e.l.f.'s Putty Blush in the shade Tahiti, and then we have ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in Between the Sheets. So while these aren't maybe exact dupes, they're close enough that I think they look pretty identical once you get them actually blended out on your cheeks. And funny enough, these shades in all three of these drugstore products are the ones that I reach for the most often. So it's not surprising to me that I picked this shade from Tarte. I probably should have picked something else because I feel like I spent a lot of money and I basically have something very, very similar already at home. So if you have these cream blushes already from the drugstore, drugstore, if you have any of them, you pretty much have this. This formula to me doesn't feel different at all. The ingredients might be different. The Tarte one might have some, you know, added ingredients that are healthy for your skin or something, but just in terms of how they actually perform, I don't see any difference whatsoever. So I would say save your money, get one of these, or if you already have them, then you definitely don't need to pick this one up. And then last but not least, I have the new Benefit mascara. This is the They're Real Magnet Mascara. So this one has a lot of crazy claims to it. It's magnetic. It's supposed to give you the biggest lashes ever. It's supposed to be lifting and lengthening. It's supposed to hold a curl all day. It has tons and tons of claims, and there's just been a ton of hype around this. Benefit is known for a couple of things, brow products and their mascaras, and I've had really good luck with their mascaras in the past. I love Roller Lash, and the original They're Real is great too. So I didn't really hesitate to pick this one up. I didn't really read the reviews, but I saw that it had 5 stars. So I was like, you know what? It's probably a safe bet. I'm just gonna buy it. Well, I got it home. I tried it out. I wasn't super impressed by this. I thought it gave me some length and some volume. I'll show you guys a before and after shot, but it definitely wasn't like the most length or volume I've ever gotten out of a mascara. It was just okay. So after all of the claims, I was just, I guess, expecting more from it. I liked that it didn't clump. I thought my lashes looked nice and combed through, and they looked really good in the beginning. But one thing that I noticed was as the day wore on, I thought that my lashes started drooping a little bit. They didn't really hold up the curl as much as I was expecting them to. And usually my lashes don't do that. Usually mine hold a curl pretty well. So I was kind of surprised by that. It also says on the packaging that it doesn't smudge and it doesn't flake, but I'll show you guys what my eyes looked like at the end of the night. And sure enough, there was definitely quite a bit of smudging underneath. I had those raccoon eyes going on. So yeah, this was a really big letdown for me. I can show you guys a couple that I've really been liking. One of them is from Doll 10. This is the Lash Remedy Transforming Peptide Mascara. So this actually has a lash serum built into the formula. So it's not one of the lash serums that's supposed to make your lashes grow, but what it does is just strengthens your lashes and prevents them from falling out so that they get longer. I haven't noticed any irritation from this at all. So I've really been enjoying this, and I'll show you guys a before and after of the Doll 10 versus the Benefit. And I think I got way better results with the Doll 10, way longer lashes. For me, I like that false lash look, so I really thought the Doll 10 was a little bit better. Another one I really love from the drugstore is the Huda Beauty Warrior Princess Mascara, so I'll show you side by side of that as well. And I think this one did just as good a job, if not better, than the Benefit for a much more affordable price, and that one doesn't smudge or flake on me, so I really love that one as well. And another one I've really been happy with is the Makeup Geek Extension Effect Mascara. This one too, I get great results with this. It's around $12, so again, way more affordable than the Benefit, and this also does not smudge or flake, and I think it gives me amazing length and volume. So overall, I would say my experience with the new Benefit They're Real Magnet Mascara was not the best. I'd love to hear what you guys think though in the comments below on any of the things that I talked about today, and if you like them, if you didn't like them, what you think of them overall. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out today. I always appreciate it so much. And if you like this video, again, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out with the algorithm. And also, if you are new to my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button right here in the corner of your screen. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.